Hello, this is Janet Gallen welcoming you to Love Letters Live. Today's guest is Martha Bolton, and what she's done is, for me, in the world of love letters and the importance of them, solid gold. So, Martha, I'm just going to introduce you so you could say hello.
Hi. Hey, and nice to be with you and looking forward to talking about Bob.
Me too. Can we just start with you? I know that there is so much about you and what you've done that, but I'd like to start back as far as we can for just a few minutes about you. You were one of the original writers for his TV show. How did you start in life writing, and how did your life lead you to this?
Well, I started with Bob around 1983, 82 in that area.
Oh, so that's late already, because he was quite
later. Right.
He was
that was toward I was with him. I was with him from the
what did you
until the end from
what had you done before that let you do this?
Well, I had been writing for Phyllis Diller and Joan Rivers, and I had been writing books and different a newspaper column, comedy newspaper column. So and magazine articles. I had done some comedy writing, and how it happened was I had read a book from a gentleman named Gene Parrott, and he was the creative consultant for Mama's Family, and he had also been a staff writer for the Carol Burnett Show. And so when I read his book, we had a lot in common because he used to roast his boss at work, and I used to roast our pastor. I would roast different friends of mine, their bosses at their work. And so we had that in common, and we both wrote for Phyllis Diller. So I wrote him and just shared that, really. I didn't ask for anything, but he wrote me back and invited me to come down to see a taping of Mama's Family. So I did, and my husband and I brought this big scrapbook that had all my writing in it and the different things that I had sold. And so he looked through it, was reading it, and really liked my work. So he said, "You should be writing for Hollywood." So, and I had wanted to get into
Did you live in LA at the time?
Yeah. I grew up in LA. I lived there until we moved to Tennessee.
Oh, because I grew up there also. Where did you start off there?
Just in the Nashville area. Out here, or LA? Are you talking?
LA.
Are you meaning LA? Yeah. In the north of LA, the Valley. I was a Valley girl, grew up. So, anyway, so I wrote a couple of spec scripts. He suggested that I write, and I didn't have a typewriter that was working at the time, at that moment, and so for a quarter, I didn't want to waste any time. So for a quarter, scripts for Mama's Family, and then got them to Gene, and he got them to Ben Simmons.
So you actually did work with Bob Hope then, because I remember Bob Hope, of course. I'm sure from the 40s. I mean, he goes back a long time.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
So
what happened was, he got me connected. I was going to get called in that next season on Mama's Family to pitch some show ideas. And so what happens in Hollywood is the show got canceled. So my hopes were up, and then they were dashed. And come to find out, Gene was also a writer for Bob Hope, and then he recommended me.
What was he like to work with? You're freezing here a little bit.
And then Yeah, I don't know. I think we're having some issues.
Yeah. Are you on a tablet
sure.
or are you on a tablet or a?
I'm on my computer.
Okay.
Are you? Let me just double check.
Okay.
No,
tell me what it was like to work with him.
Well, it was a dream come true. Like if you're going up the the comedian chain, he's the top. So
I know, isn't that And I want to say, because I've noticed this in particular in comparison with today's comedians, that his material never destroyed anyone else.
No, it was funny, but came from a place of respect. He wasn't mean. His comedy wasn't mean, and so much of it today is mean, but
that's what
it was. And in I was with him 15 years. But period of time, he never said one unkind word to me. He was the nicest boss you could imagine.
I'm not surprised.
He was the same person on stage as he was when he got off.
I think so often today, and I've seen this when I've gone to comedy shows, that very often comedians are so mean to others. Their comedy revolves around denigrating others. And they do get laughter, but I think the laughter is audience discomfort, personally. And
it's
his example, example that you did not have to make others feel low for you to be successful,
right,
is so
important. And he would never hit people when they were down, which is so prevalent today. If somebody finds out that this person has this problem or this happened or whatnot, and then just everybody jumps on him, and he would never do that. If they had something that they were dealing with, say an alcohol problem or something like that, he'd leave them alone. That they were dealing with it and needed to get through it on their own.
So how did you come to get this collection of letters?
Well, so when I was working on the shows, there was this one period that we looked through the letters, and I remember getting to read these and thinking, oh my goodness, this is a treasure trove of history, plus a real insight into Bob's.
Yes. That I think some of our best history is from letters. You what?
Oh yeah. And I talked with Bob at the time and told him that I thought it would make a really good book.
So he was
definitely interested.
Him about the letters.
He was alive when we first started working on it. Yes. And so he suggested that I talk with Linda, and Linda grew up with the letters in the house. So we met and we talked and we started working on it, and then going through these boxes of letters, these like banker boxes, and then what happens again in Hollywood? You're working. Something else comes up where we move to this television special or we move to something else. So it just got put aside temporarily. I mean, we always knew we'd get back to it. And then unfortunately, Bob passed away. And a few years ago, Linda emailed me and said, do you want to get back onto that book? And yeah, so
what was the overriding thing that you learned from these letters about that time in history, for starters?
The communication, which you really had to realize what they had at that time was only the letters. But then what is really valuable about letter writing is it could be as long as they wanted it to be, and it's that feeling of their heart, I think, goes on to a letter more than exactly pen and paper. And you could probably put your heart onto a letter, an old-fashioned letter, than more easily than email these days when you
and by the way, handwriting, I think, is king. Because we've all got Helvetica and Lucida Bright. Nobody has your handwriting.
Yeah.
You know, it's such a fingerprint. What was the overriding attitude in the letters that the soldiers wrote to him? I mean, these are a collection. I'm sorry. Let's define this for everybody. This is a collection of letters that were written by G.Is to Bob Hope. Right?
During World War II. Right. And it's called Dear Bob, and it's Bob Hope's Wartime Correspondence with the G.Is of World War II. And the overwhelming message that comes across in the letters is gratitude. Bob's gratitude and respect. Bob's gratitude and respect for them, their gratitude and respect for Bob. And then what I learned most in those letters was the deep relationship that he had with each one of them. It was way more than a fan celebrity relationship. It was a buddy. It was their brother. It was their dad. He would call them his sons and daughters.
Really?
And their relationship that comes across in these handwritten letters, it's just unbelievable. That was a huge surprise, but just it was one of those wow moments where you just realize this relationship was unbelievable. It was
I understand that he wrote back to these men also. I mean, I read that he got something like 38,000 letters a week. How do you deal with that?
Well, he had a secretary. He had a really good secretary, Marjorie Hughes, and thankfully she kept everything. She kept the letters. She kept his responses back on the old carbon paper on any.
Yes. Oh, good for her. Okay.
We have his responses to the letters, and the book really takes you back to that time. There's all sorts of other photographs of time, things that were going on at that time. And then also his personal photographs. There's almost 250 personal photographs.
It's a huge book. A huge book?
It's about 300 pages. And then there's text and a photograph on a lot of the pages.
And people can buy this on Amazon, or I shouldn't say Amazon. Where else can they get it? All bookstores now have it?
Barnes and Noble, I think, has it on the website. And the brick and mortar stores should be stocking it, hopefully. And if not, they can order it for them so they can support their brick and mortar stores.
If you would do me a favor and do the whole world a favor, say the name of the book nice and slowly. And so people can either write it down or remember it, and then they'll know what to order.
Okay. You can order Dear Bob, Bob Hope's Wartime Correspondence with the G.Is of World War II at your brick and mortar stores if they're open, and at also the internet.
Everybody's delivering, thank goodness. Yes. Okay. Now, when you say the secretary thought to keep everything, I mean, I learned to type with carbon paper.
Yeah. So did I
have also. And yes, that was a wonderful thing, because usually people will send a letter, send it off, and they don't have a copy of it.
They wrote it. And that's something I always did too, was keep copies of what I sent off. So yeah, she was, because I used to be a secretary. I think secretaries do that, but she had the foresight that she knew it was history.
Good for her.
Yeah.
And making copies of letters, I mean, we live in miracle times. And one of the things that I do kind of stress in workshops that I do on writing love letters, and all kinds of things fall under that rubric, is to make a copy. Make a copy before you send it off. Take a picture of it with your cell phone and everybody's story is worth telling.
Yes. And you know what else is nice about making a copy is whenever you're feeling down, just go through all your old letters and start reading some of these wonderfully encouraging letters that you've received over the years. And
I am so glad to hear you say that. We should probably be giving classes together. Yes, because you know, first of all, it's a gift like no other. Yeah. You know, it never goes out of style. It won't add calories. It won't need you to change the water. You know, it's something that lasts forever. And what you say about reading it later, it's always uplifting. And if you read old letters, which I'm looking forward to doing in this book of yours, you get somehow taken back to your youngest and strongest self in some cases.
Oh yeah, and a lot of times you may have forgotten what was said to you in this certain letter, and then you read it again and you go, oh my goodness, how encouraging or how loving was that? You know,
you bet. And you know, some comedian, I can't remember her name, but she deserves full credit, who pointed out you can't reread a phone call. You know,
exactly.
Very important to have these. Oh, this is wonderful. And so are with this project now finished, are you looking at doing more of this kind of thing?
I would like to, because he did Korea, he did Vietnam, he did
of course.
Yeah, and he did Desert Storm and then the Cold War. So I would like to, I could see it being a trilogy, hopefully, and getting those times and the letters from that from the G.Is.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. Okay, so you're really quite the historian. This is good. Now, are you in close touch with his family? I'm guessing children and grandchildren. What?
Well, definitely. You know, the board of the Bob Hope and Dolores Hope Foundation, and they're all involved in Dear Bob, and Linda, of course, his daughter, and the family is all supportive as far as, you know, just they're all on. Just we are singing Bob Hope's praises. So
that's wonderful. You know, I'm listening to you. I'm realizing something that I kind of felt about him as an audience member. You know, somebody who saw his road to Morocco and Rio. You know, his old movies. I still watch them when they're on TV. They're just terrific. And it, you know, it seems that he did not take himself seriously. He did not put himself in the center of the universe. Would you say?
No, I absolutely would say he wasn't. He had confidence, but no arrogance.
Oh, how well put. Yes, because I can see that he took life seriously, and he took the respect, and I guess it was important to him. I'm asking you this, really, I'm saying it, but it's a question. Was it important to him that our soldiers be kind of forever honored?
Yes. And even not just in wartime, but in peacetime as well. And he would be their champion, whatever they needed. He would see to it that they got it, and would take it to the president if he had to, or Congress. He would he'd do anything for them. And once you read their letters, you understand why. He saw their sacrifice.
I was just going to say what they gave. The young men, and now women also, that sent off to war. Oh, terrible.
Yeah. So every time he looked at their sacrifice, he would think, you know, this is the little that I can do, then I'm going to do it. And he just brought commitment to a whole new level and meant it. This was sincere. He had promised to entertain the troops in World War II, and he continued for 50 years. His last military show was when he was 87 years old.
I was totally unaware of that. I didn't know that.
Climbing in and out.
Wow.
And ducking the same incoming that they're ducking at 87. So that's commitment. That's someone who took a pledge and stuck with it. And he's an example for everybody.
I mean, the effort in doing that, just, that means getting on airplane after airplane to travel to places that weren't so pleasant.
Yes. Yeah. And it was something, it was in him. And I think in the beginning, it probably started when he went to Marchfield and the reaction of the audience back in 1941. And he loved that, they were so ready for laughter, and that the laughter he loved that audience. So that was how he started. But I think through the years of seeing everything that he saw and receiving all these letters and getting to know the heart of the G.Is and getting into his heart, it just grew so deep, and it comes across in every one of their letters. There's funny letters, there's historic letters that have all sorts of historic significance and you to get through because it's just so gut-wrenching. But the book takes you on an emotional roller coaster.
I'm sure it does. Oh, I want to thank you for doing this with me. And I'm going to get the book for myself. I'm so eager to see it and read it. And let's just be in touch, because as you do more things, if you'd like to come back to talk about other projects, I'm here. Thank you, dear. This has just been wonderful. Good luck with it. I mean, you've already sold many, many copies, right? This isn't something that's going to be coming out soon. This is out.
It went in. Yeah, it just came out, and it already went into its second printing before it officially released.
Wow.
So people are pretty moved by it, I think.
I'm sure. Okay, well, thank you so much. And until we meet again, I will just say goodbye, and I will just say from Love Letters Live, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.